Hello, everybody, and welcome to the United Stand. Wesley says, are the rumours true? What are the rumours? We don't know what the rumours are, Wesley, so we don't know whether they're true. But we have got lots to talk about. I'm joined by Saeed and Ricky. How you doing, lads?
I'm fine, mate. You okay?
Yeah, we're good. We're good. We've hit that 20 grand on the charity thing, which is great. Thank you, everybody who watched and got involved in that. Really made a big difference. And we're going to start off with some Man United news, though, because we've done all the charity stuff and it was fantastic. There's lots to get into. The title of the show is Manchester United get a transfer boost in relation to Harry Kane and Jadon Sancho. So I'll give you the background to this to start off. The Daily Mail have been saying that Real Madrid have got no interest in Harry Kane. So Harry Kane to Manchester United is a clear path. But I'm also hearing United have got no interest in Harry Kane. So he might well be in that golden cage. And in relation to get Jadon Sancho, Dortmund are, as I mentioned this morning, this is sort of developed, that Dortmund are worried that they won't get £100 million for Sancho and he might force a move. So they're trying now to think that they might offer him more money to stay. But the feeling is that they won't be able to match what United can pay him anyway, and he wants to move to Premier League. So Dortmund may end up having to sell Sancho for less than their price if Sancho continues with his desire to play in the Premier League. Of course, it might not be United, it could be Chelsea, but Dortmund struggling to keep hold of a player who wants to leave, which is always the issue, isn't it, Ricky? I mean, that's the thing with these players, that Kane wants to leave, no one probably going to go for him. Sancho wants to leave, and Dortmund will probably struggle to keep hold of him.
Yeah, obviously, we mentioned this before, didn't we? We don't know what's going to happen financially, with the financial markets. Harry Kane's going to be too much anyway. I don't think Daniel Levy is going to drop to anything less than something like he might go down to 150 million perhaps, but I think it's going to be way out for us to afford. But Sancho, I mean, before all this, you were talking 100 to maybe 120. Dortmund are saying they won't budge. They might have to, if he wants to leave, they might have to budge. 70 mil, 80 mil perhaps.
Yeah, I think so. And what about Harry Kane, Saeed? Is he a player that you think, can you see anything in this? I mean, he obviously wants to move. Madrid don't want him. There's talk that United don't want him, although Wayne Rooney has said he'd be perfect for United. I think Gary Neville has. Harry Redknapp has. So,
you know what? I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm a Harry Kane fan. Me, I really do. I think he's a goal scorer. I think it's what United need at the minute. For me, United, they've created chances, but we've just not had a consistent striker. I think Martial, Rashford, they're good on their day. They're good for 2 or 3 games, but sometimes they disappear for a few games and they're not consistent. Don't get me wrong, I love Martial, Rashford, and I think the ones for the future and they can develop more. But I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he loves a striker, he loves what did Haaland did, he wants a goal scorer, a goal machine. And with Harry Kane, that is a goal machine for me. And if you can get Sancho in there for me, 80 million, 90 million, and I feel like all these rumours about Harry Kane going for 200 million, but that's nonsense. I think Tottenham are in desperate position. The new stadium in now, I think they don't have the time to budge over, what certain fees can go a certain way. I think they'll be tempted to say under 100 million, 90 million mark. If you get them 2 for 180 million, is that a good business? I think that's brilliant business. Don't get me wrong, I would have looked at him as more of a mobile striker. But for me, goals, if you want to see goals, you get Harry Kane for me. And if you can get him to stay in that little box area, then Sancho and Martial, they provide the width. And then Pogba can roam around and support Harry Kane when he wants to and give him that space to just go and, go around the shoulder and the defender. Then maybe we can get that Kane for me. For me, I just want goal scorer. United have lacked a goal scorer since Rooney, Van Persie. The old greats of York, Keane, Cole. We've not had a goal scorer that can score 25 to 30 goals a season. Get Harry Kane next summer, everyone will be laughing. Imagine he scores hat-trick, outside the box, shoot, goal. Game's done in about 60 minutes. Then you take him off, you bring Martial in. It's all about competition for places. That's how United always will grow and grow. Get competition for places, it's all health for everyone.
He's going to drop Martial for Kane then, Ricky. What do you think about
that? Obviously, Kane has been.
I didn't say that.
Kane is an out-and-out centre.
He said, "Come off the bench. He's got to be on the bench."
I noticed. I noticed he said that, but Martial could play either as a 10 or he could play on the left wing. As an out-and-out number 9, I mean, as much as I love Martial, I wouldn't say this about too many players. But as an out-and-out number 9, Kane's even better. Obviously, he's a fantastic goal scorer. But there's plenty of room for both of them in the team.
The problem for me is Sancho's going to cost around 100. Kane's going to cost around 150. we're not spending 250 million on Sancho and Kane. Something's got to give there, and the only thing that can give is Pogba. But if Pogba goes, then you've got to get a midfielder, which neither of those two. I just don't see how it happens, to be honest with you. There's also talk today that Jimenez and Manchester Evening News are saying we're not in for Jimenez, we're not in for Kane. Now, look, I'm not saying Manchester Evening News are spot on at everything, but they are quite, when they're vocal about their sources, and I know their source is the club, then they're obviously aware of that. I mean, there was some talk in the week about us looking at a striker that's not a Garlo. I don't know whether either of you thought about that or people at home. My assumption is that it's Werner or Moussa Dembele.
Werner's been mentioned a few times on here and on Twitter. I've seen people talking about Werner. What I did today, I thought I'd do a bit of homework. I watched the Leipzig game v Spurs.
Yeah.
The game in Germany, and I studied him closely. They played like a 4-3-3 where he was like the left-hand side striker, stroke left winger even. He played exactly in the position that Rashford's playing now. I've not watched him before. I've not watched him closely before, certainly. He might have played in a game that I've seen, but I've never really watched him closely. So whether he plays there all the time, I don't know, but he'd be a direct replacement for Rashford the way he played in that game. And I've got to say, by the way, he looked absolutely fantastic. He really did. I checked. I'm not one for stats, but it's always worth a look. And I looked at his stats Googled his stats after I'd watched the game. 118 league games, 70 odd goals. You know what I mean? 30 caps, 11 goals, I think it was. 29 caps, 11 goals. So he's scoring a lot of goals, but it's not just about that. He didn't score in that game, but he was absolutely fantastic. You know, lovely first touch. Knows where he wants to put, exactly what I like in a player. Knows where he wants to give it before he gets it most of the time. Obviously, he did a couple of poor things. He had one shot where I thought he should have passed it. But a lot of strikers do that, don't they? I thought he was absolutely superb. Now, I don't know where the figures come from when we start talking about figures, but I've heard people bandying around 50 to 60 million for it.
Yeah.
But I don't think Leipzig are a club that are going to be short on money.
I think it's a release clause or contract clause or something. Yeah, he is. Because Liverpool are favourites to sign him. Liverpool are favourites to sign him.
If that's the
Liverpool
case,
have got a habit of doing this.
If that's the case, from one viewing, what I'll say about from one viewing, though, if you watch a player and he doesn't do so well, he could probably do better. But if you watch a player and you can see straight away that he's got it, it's not usually that it goes the other way. You know, from that one viewing, I would say he looks a proper player.
And that's why they go for Werner. That's why they go for Harry Kane. For me, Werner's the unknown. Will he adapt to the Premier League? You know what I mean? I think his quality and I think the goals are there, but will he adapt? And all they're going to Solskjaer Man United is going to have to look at who can come to the Premier League and score goals instantly. And Harry Kane will score you goals instantly. It's just a matter of fact of pricing and whatnot. So for me, I don't know. I'm still on the fence on this one. I mean, Harry Kane, what I want, is it my first option to get first of all? No, it's Sancho. But can you get, do United need a striker? Yes, as well. So for me, it's a big summer for Man United. It really is.
You know what I would say to this, and I think everyone at home would probably wake up and agree, is that if we go and sign Sancho and Kane, I ain't going to sat here. I'm not going to be sat here moaning that we've spent 250 million. I'll be like, well, you know, you can't say we don't spend money. It's just previous history. I've got no confidence that we'd do that. And to be honest, I do like Harry Kane. I've said it before. I think Harry Kane gets a lot of stick, and I do think I think he's a world-class striker. His stats show that, but I don't think United would go for him. The interesting thing is Zane's mentioned it a couple of times, and I was going to bring it in, and I really want to get your opinion on this, Saeed, first, and I'm sure Ricky will have a different one, which is always welcome, of course. Newcastle has developed this week. I've done a bit of homework on that one, and the people who are looking at Newcastle are the same people that we've spoken about in the past, the Saudis. It's those people who are going to buy Newcastle. So they're not going to buy United, they're going to buy Newcastle United. And they're much richer than the Man City owners, so they've got a lot of money to spend. But the more interesting thing for me is because we can talk about, I said this morning with Newcastle, I'm like, yeah, they're going to be competitive. They might win the league, but Chelsea took 3 years, City took 3 years, Blackburn took 3 years. And it's a harder, getting players to go to Newcastle. They've got to build a whole team there. They've got no players that are top 4 players. So it's going to take a long time. The big thing they've got to do is build the structure. And what apparently they're going to do is take your man Poch, Saeed. So, you know, he might be going to United, but Newcastle United, and, you know, he is available. I mean, they'll chuck money at him, and that's where he might be. What are your thoughts on that?
Gutted. You know what I mean? You've destroyed my day now, Mark. I can't believe it. But you know what it is with Pochettino, and what is very, very done at, very, very clever at what he's done. He's always built teams. You know, you look at Espanyol, you look at the Southampton, you look at Tottenham from where they were. You know what I mean? From Villas-Boas, I think it was the manager before him. They were all down and out, and he's built them to what they are now. And he's built world-class players through that team. He's built a system. It's improved players. You know, he's improved the style of team in every single club he's been at. So for me, it's you know what? It's a very, very suited match. Pochettino, I don't think he's going to be like, you know what? That's disrespectful, because for me, he's not an elite manager in terms of, you know, the likes of Pep Guardiola and them kind of play. He's a good manager. You know, money talks nowadays, you know what I mean? He's going to be low on money. The money's probably ran out, the 12 million, you know what I mean, and all that. And if Tottenham do, you know, we cut the money. So for me, is it worth gambling to go Newcastle? No, I don't think so. I still believe he's going to come to United, and I believe that sooner or later, Man United are going to pull the plug and say, you know what, he's a manager out there now. He's ready, he's available. And I think he'll wait for the club that he wants, and that is Man United. I'm telling you guys, he will come to Man United. It's just a matter of time.
Can't see that. I can't see that. If he's not going to, you can't expect him to wait forever, can you? You know what I mean? So if Ollie starts the season as United's manager, which obviously they'll make that decision as soon as this season's decided or finished, kaput, you know, whatever they decide to do, as soon as it's finished, whichever way it finishes, they will make the decision on whether Ollie's going to start next season. If Ollie starts next season, you've got to assume that he might, you know, you've got to assume that they're going to do okay, and it'll be another season. Poch isn't going to just stay out of work for another season. If Newcastle,
I agree. I think the Poch train's done, because just to jump in there, Ricky. Sorry, I can't see. The thing is, if you survive, as I thought Ollie was done, because I've seen it at Villa. When a manager does badly, there ain't many examples of a manager turning it around once it starts to go bad. But the thing where it works in Solskjaer's favour is we've been mid-table. We've been 13th. We've been like beat by Burnley and all sorts. I don't see, when he gets Sancho and Pogba and maybe a striker, I can't see us ever being out the top 6 again, because the quality of the squad's too good then. So it's almost like, even if it's bad next season, people will say, well, at least we're not in 13th. It's improvement. So I think he's here for another year at least.
Well, don't you think it's the pressure now, though? Imagine you got Sancho and he's not developing and he's not doing the right stuff right. Then the pressure's even on him more. Because the board be like, you know what, we're back to now. So for me, if he doesn't get top 4 next season, or even getting 3rd from me, I don't know, we're talking about 4th. We should be aiming for 3rd. You know what I mean? If you got the squad there. So I don't know. I feel like for me, obviously, every fan wants a manager to do well. And I'm not just disheartening Ollie. You know what I mean? I want him to do well. But for me, United have got to look forward and look for a better manager to get us to the next level. And for me, Ollie's not that. And Pochettino, if he's available, for me, I think the pipeline's been done in the summer months and whatnot, that Pochettino, they're having talks. And there was strong the rumours that they were talking about Pochettino. So for me, that doesn't go away overnight. You know what I mean? Pochettino has been told something might be going on here. Just waiting, they're lingering. So obviously, he won't wait forever, but you know, it's one of them for me.
They've definitely had talks with Pochettino, because I think any club, when they're thinking of sacking a manager, is going to speak to somebody who's available to be first in line. But he ain't. Ollie's not going. I can't see a scenario where he goes, and I agree with Ricky. I can't see Pochettino waiting, and I think Newcastle, with all that money, and he likes a project,
I think it'd suit him down to the ground.
You better go and get a black and white shirt, Saeed.
No, come on. You know what I mean? I think, don't get me wrong, Ollie will adapt and he's got the morale to come. But for me, people are forgetting how bad it was before Bruno Fernandes came. How bad was it with a team that is capable of going top 4? It was at Newcastle, Bournemouth, Watford. Can you believe that, guys? Watford, 2-0. They've had more managers than wins. And we're saying everything's all right. It's not all right. You know what I mean? There still is frailties with Ollie. There's no style of play. There's no tactics. There's no nothing. So imagine you got Sancho, you got all these player players. You've got to have a style of play then. You can't just say, you know what, I'm going to freestyle, because that's not what you do right now. You've got to have a style of play. Then you've got to adapt Sancho to a certain position. Then you've got to say, where's Pogba fitting? Where's Fred fitting? Where's Matic fitting? You know what I mean?
I say it every week. You can only play 11.
But then, there you go. Then how does?
I know you need a squad, but some of the players you mentioned are not going to be satisfied. Being on the bench. If he decides to go the way, I know a lot of people think Bruno and Pogba will both play. I don't think they will. And if one of those is on the bench, I don't. There's going to be there could be trouble in the camp. You know what I mean? So.
Thanks for the contribution from Simon Cliff, NHS worker. Really appreciate that. But yeah, I think with I think Ollie's survived in relation to Poch, and if he does do badly next season, who's available? I mean, this is the thing. Poch will be gone, Allegri will be gone, and United will be like, oh, we've got to stick by it. But they have got a decision to make, and I think they've already made it, to be honest, with Solskjaer. And it's funny. I respect the fact that Saeed still remembers it all, because I think it's been so long since United have played. I can't remember whether I'm Ollie in or out. As I said this morning, it just feels so long ago. It'd be interesting when we come back.
Can I just make another point about Newcastle? If this takeover happens and they do get Poch, I think. I'm not saying it will definitely happen, but I think they could surprise you, Mark. I heard you saying, I'm not saying they can win the league within the next year or two, not at all. But even though they're below us in the league, they will have some players that Pochettino will be able to build the confidence up, get them playing a bit better. They won't need to change the full team to be challenging the top six, I don't think. I think if he gets 4 or 5 good signings and licks some of the others into shape, they might surprise you a bit sooner than that. I'm not saying for sure they'll even be in the top 4, but they might be right on your coattails before you know it.
I think the most important thing is if they did get a Pochettino, that's a major tick. The problem is if you get the wrong manager, and I've heard them be linked to Vidal, who was a player we were looking at 6-7 years ago, who's 32 with a bad knee coming in the Premier League. That's just spending money because you've got it. You're better off going getting Tonali from Italy, who's a player that's going to be a great player in a couple of years. And that's why Pochettino, I think, would be good for Newcastle, because he would go in with the knowledge to build something. Whereas, you can have a lot of money. They're very rich, those owners, but are they going to be owners that go, yeah, we want Mbappe tomorrow, and we want you can't do it like that. So it'd be interesting to see how they approach. I'm not. I mean, I'll go to that. Are you concerned about that? Because we're never going to have owners that are going to spend that sort of money. Do you think Newcastle are going to really be a threat? To me, I just think, well, Man City have got money. I think if we'd been run better, we could have dealt with that.
Obviously, we haven't been run well enough. We can't. We can't keep up with Liverpool now. You wouldn't have imagined that as recently as 3 years ago, 2 years ago, even. You wouldn't have thought Liverpool would have been that far. Well, certainly not that far in front of us, anyway. So if they get the right man and they spend money, there's no reason whatsoever why they can't overtake us. No reason whatsoever.
I'm hoping that they absolutely love Lingard, these Saudi owners, and they're going to make an offer we can't refuse, and think we'd refuse 50 and give us 60 million, and be a brand new start for Jesse. I like that. I like the idea of that. But that's the sort of signings that they might make that are the wrong signings. That's what I mean. Yeah. It's whether they make the right signings as to how quick they'll be successful.
Yeah, fingers crossed they do make the wrong ones.
Don't get me wrong, it's a brilliant project though. Newcastle, big crowd, big rich city. I went to, Newcastle. When I went to Newcastle, oh my days of passion and the aura around the whole stadium. It's unbelievable. So what a project that is. Fans club under in the championship. They still have 52,000 a week. So you know what? Props to them, It's a big project over there.
Ninja Smurf United says, Ricky, my boy, would love to hear you say Matic and Matic are superb.
Mata and Matic are absolutely fantastic, let alone superb. They're absolutely brilliant.
Just superb, Ricky, just superb.
We'll have to sort them out with some T-shirts or something. We'll move to the next thing, which is something that's been bubbling since we spoke last week. Koulibaly to Manchester United. Napoli are proper trying to sell him. Italian reports again saying that 105 million euros. They've actually let it out that Man United did bid for him last summer and they turned it down. It's coming from quite a decent outlet on Friday. I saw La Repubblica in Italy, which are quite a decent outlet, saying that United have been offered him. I think we might have said it last week. I said there's no chance we're signing the centre back, but Well, what's your feelings on that, lads? Koulibaly and a centre back? Because again, we've just spoken about a very expensive striker. We're now talking about a very expensive centre back when we know the priority is a right winger. Do you see us looking for a centre back? I don't know what your lads' thoughts are on the centre backs we've got. Tuanzebe, Bailly, Lindelof, Maguire. Are they good enough to be building a top four or a title challenging side? Or do we need another centre back?
I think we probably would need another centre back to be a title challenger. Lindelof is doing okay. Maguire's doing okay. I hear a lot of people talking about Bailey. I don't think Bailey's switched on enough. I think his touch lets him down too often. Some of his decision making is awful. I'm going back a couple of years, but I often bring it up when we beat Liverpool 2-1 at Old Trafford the other year. He scored an own goal that I would have expected a Sunday League player to clear. And in the very same game, he dragged James Milner down, if you remember it, on the dead ball line when James Milner wasn't going anywhere. It was as nailed on a penalty as you could ever see. It's just, for the grace of God that the ref didn't give it. And we ended up winning the game 2-1. And I also think his clumsiness at times is what causes himself to be injured so often.
Yeah, he's quite reckless with his own body, isn't he?
Yeah, I looked at it only last week. He's, I know this season didn't finish, but he's been with the club 4 seasons now, if you count this as a full season, and he's played 52 league games. Now, whether that's because he's been injured so much or because they often don't select him. I've had this with somebody on Twitter. Somebody saying Bailey's our best centre back. If you look at the last 6 games that we played, obviously Maguire played virtually every game, if not all of them. But Bailey played against Derby County, he played against Bruges, and he played against Lask. Lindelof played against Man City, Everton, and Watford. Now, I think that Bailey is definitely the third choice, and some people have argued with me. They're breaking him back in. How long do you break somebody back in? He was back in the squad in January when we played Liverpool away. He's been around the squad for two to 3 months. Now, if he's a top centre-back, obviously no one's saying he's as good as this, but if he was Rio Ferdinand or Vidic, he'd be back in the team without going on the bench once, let alone being on the bench for all the big games for 2 months. So, trust me, the club don't rate him as highly as most of the fans do, and I don't rate him as highly as most of the fans do. So I think we do need another centre-back, because if you get one centre-back injured, that could mean you've got 2 centre-backs injured, because obviously he's injured so often. So I think
with Bailly, he's better in the air than a lot of people think. His aerial stats are quite good.
Look, he's half decent. I'm not saying he's rubbish or anything like that. He come on against City. He had a good game at Chelsea, but sometimes, he ran the ball out a couple of times at Chelsea and got away with it. When players get away with something, fans don't jump on the back so much. He ran the ball out and was lucky to, he had to go into a challenge because he's running with the ball, and to win that challenge. That's not how to play football as a centre back. It really isn't.
You're right. Yeah. He's got a reckless mentality to football, hasn't he? And I don't mean that in a negative way, because it gets him injured. He's not going to purposely get injured, but he's reckless with his body shape. And when it comes off, it's a last-ditch tackle that looks great. But when he doesn't get injured, it's like, oh, look what he's done there. But he gets injured a lot because of this. And he has got a mistake in him. And I would say definitely, because I remember the conversations around February time, a lot of people in the live comments, and myself included, said I'd play Bailly over Lindelof, because I think Lindelof and Maguire side, Lindelof is definitely Ollie's preferred option at the moment. And maybe this is where there is no smoke without fire, like Josh Bowater was saying in the live comments, because Lindelof and Maguire are the first choice, but there's a definite... I can see there's a problem with that centre-back pairing, and I hope Tuanzebe would come through, because they haven't got pace. And if you come up against a striker that's got pace, Maguire and Lindelof, as we've seen before, if they let that ball bounce, we've conceded a few goals like that this season.
Sheffield United, Crystal Palace at home. You know what I mean? There's many
Chelsea in the cup.
Chelsea in the cup.
Against Sheffield United, Phil Jones was playing Monday at centre back.
We have to forget that.
Well, there's just the second and the third goal. That was due to the player running in behind Lindelof and then going in and scoring the second goal. For me, it's one of them for me. Do United need another centre-back? I look at the Koulibaly deal, and I look at what United need right now. You need a striker, you need a right winger. Is it our preferences? But Ferguson used to say, and again he used to say, defense wins the league, attacks wins the games. So Lindelof's good. Don't get me wrong, he's good, and he's solid in certain parts. But when it's time to get rough on tumble, and when it's time to really kick on, for me he hides away and he doesn't get stuck in, and he almost he gets almost bullied off the ball, and I don't like that. When you're a centre back and when you play for Man United, you need to show who you are, and that's what Rio Ferdinand used to do. He's to rise above the challenge. So Bailly for me is good. I like him, but is he reliable? That's a question for me. You're not going to get 38 games a season with Bailly. So for me, that's why Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to say, you know what? I'd rather have Lindelof in there. Then I know at least he's going to be having more game time. And with more game time, you grow confidence. And with more confidence, then United do better. So that's what, for me, the key. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is looking at more a case of reliability more than an actual quality, which Bailly is better than Lindelof.
I'm not sure he's better. I know what you mean with that, but I'm not sure he's better. He's
defending though, is not better.
You mentioned the physical side of it, and maybe Lindelof does get bullied on the odd occasion, but nobody's perfect. We're going to lose the odd goal, like I've just mentioned, against Liverpool. Bailey sliced one into his own net that Lindelof probably would have cleared. So some players have got different strengths. Do you know what I mean? And I think overall, well, when I think overall, it appears that the club think that overall Lindelof's the better option. I think he is. If I can just say this as well, when you're talking about Bailey, he is a centre-back. And make no mistake about this whatsoever. We played City at Old Trafford the other week. I know Luke Shaw's a left-back. He played as a proper centre-back. We played with 3 centre-backs, and Bailey's still not in the team when we're playing with 3 centre-backs.
Yeah, I understand that. But is that normal, just match rhythm and coming back from a long-term injury? I think that's more just protecting the player. But in terms of Lindelof, he has more errors leading to goals. I've seen that more often. Bailly has less errors leading to goals. Bailly's more a case of rash challenges and whatnot and leaving his positioning. But in terms of leading errors to goal, Lindelof is absolutely far behind on.
Yeah, there can't be that many, Saeed. He wouldn't last very long. If he's making an error that leads to a goal too often, you're not going to stay in the team, are you? There can't be that many. In a season, how many mistakes in a season can a centre-back make that leads to a goal? It can only be 3 or 4.
Well, let's look at the season then. Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace. The Bournemouth goal, when he should have came out and blocked it. You know what I mean? Who else is there? Sheffield United, like I said to you. At home games, I think the one against Everton where he almost stood off him, the player. I think it was the goal when he scored on the goal line. That's another one. So for me, errors leading to goals and errors leading to chances more so than anything is far higher than Bailly.
Don't worry, Ricky. Saeed's about to take a major rally here because Dylan Western's just reminded me of something as well. Because old Saeed was telling everyone that the Saudis was buying us a month ago. What's gone on? What's going on?
Listen,
your source has got you, done you up like a kipper.
Well, I chat to my friend who has links with the Saudis, and he said, United have just pushed over the odds with 5 billion, so it's not happening. And now Newcastle have took the deal. So my source will come for Sancho. He'll come, don't worry.
You keep guessing at different things, Saeed. One day something's going to be right.
Yeah, got more sources than my bloody cupboard. Right, let's talk next about. Well, you know what? Just before we move on from that, I must just mention Tuanzebe. I thought he was knocking on the door before he got injured. I thought Lindelof was on his way out, and Tuanzebe was coming in around. I think it must have been about October time, and then he got injured. And he was out for a long time, which is my concern. Again, it's very similar to Eric Bailly. Tuanzebe got injured this time last year for Villa. He missed 2 or 3 months, although he had a good loan and. He has got that bit of pace about him, Tuanzebe, but we just seem to be probably, even the last couple of years with Sir Alex, we've had a major problem at keeping centre-backs fit. We have for last 6 or 7. The reason I worry about Maguire is because I saw today that he's played every single minute in the Premier League. He's the only player to do it. I don't think any player's done it. No goalkeeper of any club. He's played the most minutes. Which in one way is absolutely fantastic because I think that's something we've missed. But you need a pair. You need a pair, and I think that if United need to go in the market to get somebody, I would, again, a bit like Harry Kane. I don't expect it. I don't necessarily want him, but I'm only doing that because I'm thinking about what our owners have like. If they want to go and get Koulibaly, Kane, and Sancho and spend 400 million, I'm not going to say no because I think they're all better than what we've got.
I've said this before. A lot of people laugh at me. I'd just bring Chris Smalling back and put him next to Harry Maguire. I really would. I think Chris Smalling is as good as Harry Maguire.
No, come on.
I do honestly.
I'm just here for the comments.
It was so for a reason.
I mean, he's already our player, and you're looking at going and spending 60, 70, 80 million quid or whatever it might be. He's already our player. He's 31, I think, now, isn't he? And
why did Ollie let him go and keep Jones then? That's what I think. Why did Ollie let him go?
I mean, look, too many people also. As soon as you say this, that Italian league's no good. Come on, he isn't that bad. He's getting rave reports every time.
He's done very well. He's done very well.
He's in the the team of the year in here, something, or the team of the month every month, whatever it is they do. He's, I just think he gets. I mean, I've always been a fan of his, to be fair, but I think he gets undue stick, and he's had to convince so many different managers, and I think Ollie just got rid of him too soon. I do.
So what would you do then? Would you buy Koulibaly or would you keep Smalling?
It depends on the price, Saeed. I don't think there's going to be that much difference. And if you're going to have to give 60, 70 million, what I always said, I'll tell you what I found interesting, Matt, when I saw you interviewing the guy off Sky. What was he called? The guy is he off Sky?
Is it me or Flex?
Was it Flex interview? Well, there was an
James
interview.
Cooper, yeah.
There was an interview with a guy off Sky last week sometime. And he was talking about the 50 million quid. Now, this is not my words, so don't jump on me here. I'm repeating what he said, right? He said they've spent £50 million on Wan-Bissaka. And he said, and this Williams who's coming through, although he's playing at left back, he's right-footed. And No,
that was Clive Tilsley. That was me. That was Clive Tilsley. Yeah. He wasn't mad on Wan-Bissaka, right? Yeah.
It was. So Clive Tilsley, and I thought he was. When I say I thought he was dead smart, it's the sort of thing that I say regularly. You don't know what's coming through. You're going to go and spend 70 or 80 million pound on a player, and we might have a centre back as good as him that comes through for nothing in 2 or 3 years. Now, Chris Smalling can play for 2 or 3 years, and now. It might not have to take before you jump on that as well. It might not take 3 years. There might be somebody there. You might decide in 12 months that Tuanzebe's been on loan and now he's worth putting in the team. Sometimes you can spend 80 million quid and improve by how much? I mean, defensively, our defensive record isn't much better this year than it was last year for all the money. Yeah. You know what I mean?
The problem with United is
Smalling in the team. And getting back to that thing about Wan-Bissaka, we spent 50 million quid on him. Tilsley's in his mind, he's saying, look, he's really a right back. Williams, he's right-footed, and the way you put it, Matt, I'm glad it was you that spoke to him. The way he put it, I remember this word for word. He went, but they spent the 50 million now, didn't they? Do you know what I mean?
I think you've got to be careful about. I can see a lot of people talking about certain youth players in the live comments, and I think. Do managers these days, because Pep certainly doesn't, look at Phil Foden. I mean, he's a great player. He's not playing enough. And you've got to look long-term enough to be going, in the next 18 months, I need to be giving this lad game time. It's all right having great youth talent, but if you don't, youth talent doesn't just switch a switch. If we get hold of that Bellingham, they're talking about he'll be part of the first team. But he's played 30 games in the Championship. Where's he going to get 30 games in the Premier League? Exactly. So you've got to look long-term with these. I mean, Gomez and Chong have had exactly this problem this year. He had to keep him part of the first team. Then he's not used them. So, that's a totally different thing to judge Solskjaer on. But I do think, what's Brandon Williams' future if Luke Shaw settles down at left-back and Wan-Bissaka's right-back? Got Ethan Lard as well, Greenwood, what's Greenwood's future when Sancho comes in? Because it looks like it'll be Sancho, Martial and Rashford. Is he just going to be on the bench? Or should he not be getting more time?
The club might be changing its operations now, you know what I mean? Maybe it might not be youth anymore. It looks like it at the minute, you know what I mean? Like Gomez, at 19, 18, he's supposed to be breaking the first team or somehow getting in amongst the first team. And them two are not getting in. So it's worrying times for me. Tuanzebe, 21, 20 now. Why is he not getting in amongst the first team? You know what I mean? I look at the youth academy at United and I'm a bit worried, because I think we're going to be panic buying now because we're going to look at Sancho and you know what? Let's get 100 million. We need a right winger. Let's go. Even though I want him. And then we're going to look at maybe a striker. Let's go and get him because at the end of the day, Greenwood's developing, but can we trust him to score 25 goals a season? or get some goals so we can prove our season. You know what I mean? So for me, it's worrying times. You know, it really is.
You worried, Ricky?
Greenwood is going to be well down the pecking order if we sign these players. I mean, they're also trying to keep Igalo, aren't they? If they keep
there's going to be 2 strikers, and there's going to be Sancho, Rashford, Dan James. So there's going to be 6 for 3.
He's going to be well down the pecking order, Greenwood. He would need to go on loan, I think, if we sign Sancho and keep Igalo. You've got Sancho.
It's interesting. I mean, nobody thinks about this, but I think we've opened up a can of worms, which I always like to do. You can have great youth, but that youth becomes past its sell-by date if you don't develop it. And it's not just United. I think Man City have done it with Phil Foden. Sancho got himself out that situation at City very well because he could see what was going to go on. Sancho wouldn't be the world-class talent he's going to be if he'd stayed at City because he wouldn't have had any game time, just like Phil Foden. So, you know, even the best managers, I mean, look at Klopp. Where's his young players coming through? And people will say Trent Alexander-Arnold, but they've got quite a few others and they're not getting anywhere near it. So it's interesting.
I think Chelsea's the only one that could be. Can you look at adopted very well? Mason Mount, Reece James, what's it called? The guy on the left-hand side. But is that a case of just because they had a transfer ban and, you know what I mean, they weren't allowed?
They'd all played in the Championship as well, though, which helps. They'd all had a full season in the Championship, them lot. But they still took a risk on Tammy Abraham. I mean, he'd only done it for Villa, and then he's playing up front in a Premier League club. So I think a lot of it was transfer window,
I watched Chelsea when they played Liverpool in the Cup, and I only... I promise you this is true. I only ever leave a Liverpool game on the TV if I think they might get beat. It was a tough draw. It was a tough draw in the first place. I watched it from the first minute. I probably watched about 3 Liverpool games all season, apart from when he played us. And that Billy Gilmore that played in midfield that night for Chelsea was absolutely awesome. Absolutely awesome he was. So I think he's the bright spark at Chelsea for me.
Yeah, he does look fantastic. They talk about him and McTominay being the future of Scottish football, which, you know, hopefully, from our point of view, that will be the case. Just a bit of topical stuff I read today as well. We seem to talk about this every week. Greenwood on loan to Dortmund when buying Sancho. I don't think United... See, this is one of my criticisms of Ollie. I don't think he will loan Greenwood, even though it might be the best thing to do, because he didn't do it with Gomez and Chong. United have done this for a while now. They'll keep the young players at the club because they think training with the first team better than going out on loan, and it's not. First team football is the best thing, but
especially for Chong.
Yeah, especially for Chong. So UEFA have apparently going to announce this week that the Champions League and the UEFA Cup, the Europa League as they call it now, will be done in August, with the finals on August the 31st, or I think the Champions League final on August the 31st. So the way it will work at the moment is every 3 days throughout August, they'll just do all the rounds of Europa and Champions League, and they want all domestic leagues done before that. So that's what we're looking at the moment. So it's very much looking like there's no prospect at all. I think it's very much looking like they want to finish these seasons, and they'll do that before they even start looking at next season. So the traditional August start of the season, I think, I sort of feel now that that's gone. It's just going to be what they can try and do with this first.
It'll get pushed back, I think, won't it? That I've got a feeling they might do something like scrap the League Cup and maybe the League Cup, or maybe the League Cup and the FA Cup next season. If they play every Saturday and every Wednesday, maybe they can get away with starting, you know, obviously fit the European games in, but not the League Cup and the FA Cup Saturdays. Maybe even have less international breaks if they can do that. I mean, some of them international breaks are friendly games, aren't they?
They won't need the internationals, will they? Because we've got the Euros next summer, so you could really get rid of a couple of those, and because they're only going to be friendlies. You know, international football basically has lost a year, hasn't it? Because the Euros have been put back a year, so there shouldn't be the need for as many international games. Hopefully,
they might be able to fit the season in if they start it as late as early November. You never know, or mid-October. Certainly, they could.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting.
I'm one of them. I just can't see anything happening at the minute. You know what I mean? Especially with the death still snoring in Italy. You know what I mean? How's it? Where are they going to play the European games? You know what I mean? Are they going to play in Belarus, where football's still happening over there? Sweden? You know what I mean? Maybe places where, you know, maybe look at the Middle East. Maybe, you know what I mean? Play the games in Middle East. Apparently, that's what the talk is today. You know what I mean? But I don't know. For me, there's too much complications in it. I really do. And I just think the best sensible decision.
It's hard to see the wood from the trees at the moment when we're in the depth of what's going on, isn't it? But with all due respect, in a month's time, I think that's only the middle of May. That's a different situation, isn't it? I mean, apparently, I was told this week that Birmingham City are going back, getting prepared to go back middle of May. Carrington, apparently, they're preparing for that as well. And you know, money talks, doesn't it? Money talks, and these clubs are maybe not Man United, but a lot of these clubs, they can't just sit around and go. Well, they might have to, and they should have to for safety reasons. But at some point, they are going to start saying, "Look, when are we coming back? Because every week is costing us millions, and some clubs are going to go out of business. So, and the government just can't keep footing the bill for it. So, I think we'll see some development on it. But it was interesting what Matt Lucas said on the AFTV charity stream. You were on about that, Ricky. What did he say?
Matt Lucas said he can't see football. He was talking about what he was doing. He was over in Chicago when it all started, looking at a script, and suddenly all the theatres were shut. Nothing's happening. We flew home. We got back to London before all the flights stopped and everything. And he was talking about originally about the theatres, how they're going to operate, because they're talking in the theatres about opening up, but only selling every fifth seat or something like that, so that there's space between people.
Wow.
I don't know how they could do that, because there's going to be somebody sat behind you who might sneeze or whatever.
Air circulation is terrible in there as well, isn't it? Yeah.
So he was saying, you know, I think he was being a little bit tongue in cheek. They might have to charge £1,000 a ticket because there's going to be so few people in there. Yeah. But then he led that onto football, and a similar thing. He said it could be 18 months before we see football. What he was talking about sounded, you know, it didn't sound too far fetched. I hope he's wrong. I hope he's wrong with all my heart. I mean, if it does go on that long, can you imagine the state of the country, the economy, and everything?
Mm.
Can you imagine?
I think it's just very easy to be skeptical. I think we will get a vaccine. I think we will sort out the testing, and I think things can change very quickly. But I wouldn't want to make any predictions because I've got no knowledge at all. But I do think things can change very quickly. Let's not forget, we went into lockdown very quickly. We can come out of it very quickly, but we're nowhere near that situation at the moment. And I think, as I said, I've been out and about this weekend, and I think a lot of people are getting bored of this, and they're starting to think, you know, I don't need to be inside. I can go and see my mates on my bike and stuff. And there's loads of this going on around my area, and it's like you're not helping. You know, we might 2 or 3 weeks of what we've been doing for the last 2 or 3 weeks, and it'll make a big difference. But it's just whether people are going to have that mentality to do it. And I think the governments of the world need to start moving a little bit quicker on some solutions, because people will start to get impatient in many different ways. Businesses, football clubs, everybody. So we'll see where it goes. But that's the plan at the moment. Domestic football back in June, finished by end of July. And then European football done in August. That's what they're talking about at the moment. But who'd bet against that not being moved about? A little bit of light relief. I saw that David Beckham and Wayne Rooney. David Beckham was speaking to an Argentinian outlet, which maybe is a hint of where he's going to go, because Beckham's always been very good with the press. He said that Messi's on a different level to Ronaldo. They're the best two, but Messi's the better player. And then Rooney said, look, Ronaldo's my mate, but Messi's just my preferred player. I just prefer him. Ronaldo is a great worker, but I like Messi, the way he finishes goals and everything like that. First of all, then, what do you think they're talking facts, or do you have a totally different opinion on that? It's the old Messi-Ronaldo debate. I don't know which way you two go. We've never
They're both absolutely fantastic players. Sometimes it reminds me, we were talking to Robbie about the treble team and the Invincibles, weren't we, the other day? And he was when he mentioned Dennis Bergkamp, I said, you know, Dwight York for us, you know, 51 goal involvements in the treble year, Dwight York. I mean, you can't ask for more. You couldn't ask for more. Dwight York was absolutely phenomenal player. So I said at the time, I'm not saying Dwight York's better than Dennis Bergkamp, but I'm also not having it at Dennis Bergkamp's better than Dwight York. They're just different players.
Not on that season, anyway.
Play a different style, and they're both absolutely fantastic players. And I think the same really applies with Ronaldo and Messi. They're both absolutely fantastic. And to say, I think it's a little bit churlish, really, to say that one's better than the other. I like the way Barcelona play. I prefer the the way they played it, like tiki-taka as they called it, quick passing, and Messi's got a great touch. He gives it, gets it. I like watching Messi more. But you can't argue with Ronaldo's pace, power, the goals, the positions that he can score goals from. They're just different players, and I think it's difficult to say that one's better than the other. They're just both absolutely fantastic.
I find it quite easy. I find it quite easy because for me, it's just Ronaldo. I like Messi, but I find it really, and I think this is why it's such a good debate, because some people will be like, I don't know what Saeed's going to say in a minute, but obviously Ricky's like, you know, they're both great players, and they are. But the reason it creates such debate is because there are some people who are just massively Messi, and there are some people who are massive Ronaldo. And I'm massively Ronaldo for the simple reason Messi's the better talent, pure talent, but Ronaldo, through hard work, has got himself up to the best talent we've ever had. And he's done it on hard work. I saw him as a kid. No way did I think he would be as good as Messi at United. But his work rate, his physique, the fact that he's done it in England, Spain, and Italy, the fact that he's won things with Portugal. And Messi, for me, his Achilles heel is he's only ever done it at Barcelona, which is fine. You can be a one-club player. That's absolutely fine. But he's never really done it for Argentina. People will chuck stats about getting to a World Cup final and that, but I've never really seen him turn it on for Argentina like he does for Barcelona. And I think, for me, Ronaldo's had to work a lot harder. And I'm not taking anything away from Messi, but Messi had the God-given talent, and Ronaldo didn't. And Ronaldo's got there.
They actually hard work. They didn't think Messi was going to be big enough, did they?
Well, no. But he's such a talent. He's such a talent. His centre of gravity, his ability. I mean, look, Messi is stunning, absolutely stunning player. Free kicks. He's amazing, and we are blessed to have them both. But for me, maybe it's the United connection. I'll just go Ronaldo. I would.
Ronaldo all day for me. If you look at it talent-wise, like you said, Mark, you know what I mean? Messi's head and shoulders above the rest, you know what I mean? I look at the 2009 final, 2011, you know what I mean? It made me cry, mate. And honestly, I went to my bedroom, I was crying. I mean, Messi, why did you do this to us? You know what I mean? I'll be real, you know what I mean? And he single-handedly won Barcelona, you know what I mean? The league titles after league titles, you know what I mean? If you look at someone to watch on a given day, you'd say Messi. But in terms of better naturally, better in terms of just like hard working. You know what I mean? You look at Ronaldo, he's been in teams where he's had to struggle. You know what I mean? The early 2000s with Man United is almost single-handedly giving trophies to Man United. You know what I mean? In terms of... Sorry.
Absolutely everything that you're saying applies to both players. They both have work socks off. They've both got great skill. They're both great finishers. They're just...
But in terms of, you know, Messi's been in better teams, though. If you look at it, the Barcelona teams he's been in, he's not really had a kind of an average Barcelona team. You look at, you know, Ronaldo's been in teams where, yes, it's been awful, but still, he's been the main man. He's been the one to carry, you know what I mean, Real Madrid. He's been in teams where they've had, you know what I mean, flexible teams, and they've been a bit, you know, changing upwards and whatnot. Juventus has gone in there and shown it. He still can do it at 35. Could Messi really do it and go to another club and adapt that well? I don't know. Maybe he could, but for me, Ronaldo, all day, every day.
I tell you what, though, I mean, Ricky, you'd remember this as well as Saeed, but I remember Ronaldo a couple of years before he left. He was playing off the wing and he was getting 30, 40 goals. And the way he was playing, he never got injured. He got clattered. He was physical. He was fast. Messi couldn't have done that. And I'm not saying it because Messi wasn't as good, but he was the perfect specimen for the Premier League. And I'd love to have seen Messi in the Premier League. And I think he would have been very good. But Ronaldo... He was just amazing off that wing for that couple of years for United. He was just, a lot of it was to do with his physique as well. He was just an unbelievable player.
I can't remember the stat now, but I'll just make the figures up. But they were unbelievable. There was a stat knocking about a few years ago that I saw when people were saying he wouldn't do it in the Premier League. And somebody looked at the amount of games he's played against Premier League teams.
It's very good, yeah.
Football. And he played about 18 games and scored about 24 goals, you know what I mean, against Premier League teams. So,
what I would like to have done with Messi around 2009 is drop him into an Arsenal side. You know, a team that was always in the top four, always competitive, always getting into the Champions League, and just see, would he have made them better? Could he have took them to the level? Because I think United's team was very good in the late noughties. but I don't think it would have won Premier League titles without Ronaldo. I think he made them go that, we had Vidic and Ferdinand, we had Rooney and we had Evra, but Ronaldo was just relentless. The season he got like 42 goals or something, he was just on another level. And I think Messi maybe could have done that, but I wish he had done that. And it's nothing against him. He doesn't have to do it. He stayed at Barcelona. That's where his career is. But I do regret. I think that will be one of the things when I'm asked about Messi when I'm older by my grandkids, hopefully, if I get that far, and they say about Messi and Ronaldo, I'll say, I just wish we'd seen him in the Premier League as an experiment.
Can I ask you a question, Mark? I bet you don't say that about Paul Scholes, do you?
Well, I wish he'd gone anywhere else.
I bet you don't say, I wondered if Scholes could have done it, and why did he stay at the same club throughout his career? Do you know what I mean?
No, but there might be a Barcelona fan saying it. There might be a Juventus fan saying it because he's ours, isn't he? I bet Barcelona fans don't want Messi to go. I mean, I'd love to have seen. I mean, it's a great point because I would love to have seen a Carrick or a Scholes or a Keane or a Giggs go and play abroad. But Beckham did it, and he was very, very good. And there's, I think Scholes would have been brilliant. I think Carrick would have been brilliant. But it's you can't knock Messi for not leaving Barcelona. Why should he? But I think a lot of people deep down just wish he had, just to see, sit down the haters, I suppose, in many ways.
Yeah, I think he deserves credit for staying there, like Scholes.
One club man. The midfield debate's coming out again. I can't remember where this came from. I think it might have been the Evening Standard, but they've thrown Havertz in the ring. I don't know whether either of you know anything much about Kai Havertz. He's 20 years of age, by Leverkusen, attacking midfielder. The next big thing, really. He's looking for his move. There's a feeling that he might go Bayern Munich, but that tends to happen in that league. But he has said he's open to leaving the league. And apparently he's falling into the category now with Grealish and Maddison as a United target, which all I'm going to say, I'll throw it to you lot, is that I don't think Maddison or Havertz are really, they're going to cost a lot of money. And also, surely this depends on Pogba.
Yeah, 86 million is going to cost. Is a talented player, He plays in Germany, Bayer Leverkusen, very, very good player, technically gifted. Got a wonder of a left foot, but again, does the club, are they going to prioritise Kai Havertz, 20 years old, when you've got Grealish, who is known to the Premier League, Maddison, who's proven in the Premier League? Maybe in a few years' time, you go get Kai Havertz, but for now, I think you've got to look at Grealish and them kind of players where they can almost fit into the style straight away and they could get goals straight away. For me, I would love Kai Havertz at United, but it's not we don't need him right now at the minute. We don't need him.
Ricky, anything?
Too expensive.
Look, if we don't get money for Pogba, I don't think we'll be buying a midfield player for two reasons. It goes hand in hand. First of all, that they'll be using that money, and secondly, they'll have an extra midfield player on the books who's going to be, in and around the first team. So if Pogba doesn't go, we won't be signing a midfield player, I don't think.
I'll tell you what was interesting this week, and again, he's quite credible. I think it was. I spoke about it in the week. People will probably know in the live comments. It was either Sky Sports or it was. I think it was David Ornstein, ex-BBC. He was saying that United aren't in for Grealish, and they're looking at a CDM. And straight away, I thought, Ricky, Matic. They're looking at a CDM. Now, for me, I've always said centre defensive midfielder is my priority. I mean, I know we're going for a right winger, but last season I said I want a centre defensive midfielder, and I think this season I've got to concede that we need a right winger. But my second spot would be a centre defensive midfielder, but I don't think United are going to look at one. But apparently we are. What does that mean? Because we've got Matic, McTominay, Fred, Pogba's played deep as well. Should we be looking at another one?
Not for me.
I think
I think Matic should just be playing there, and we've got enough cover. We've got enough cover if he was injured or suspended or anything. And he's also not, he's not playing in every game. Again, I just spoke about the situation with Lindelof and Maguire. Matic is only playing. On Twitter, somebody said to me, he can't play every week. He can't play 2 games a week. Matic, he isn't playing 2 games a week. He's not playing against your Derby counties and your Lasks. You know what I mean? Plays 2 games a week. Plays 2 games a week if it's important. He's come full circle from Ollie not selecting him as recently as December. Think of this. We played 2 games in a week, not just in a week, but actually in the weekdays. We played Chelsea on a Monday night and Matic played. And on the Thursday night, we played Bruges away. All right, we battered them in the own leg. But we went to Bruges just wanted to make sure we were solid and didn't lose the first leg. And Matic played again. So we played twice in 4 days when it was deemed necessary. Then when we played Bruges at home, he didn't play him. When we played Derby County, he didn't play him.
I would say.
Do you not worry about Matic though? That I've described him as a bag of cement in the midfield in the past, and I've had to say that's not right. But what I worry about Matic is he that bag of cement? We've put a bit of water on him. It's the winter. It rained a lot. He's become that proper cement, but now it's going to dry out. In the summer, he's going to become a bag of cement again.
Exactly. That's for me. I think we've got to cash in on Matic. I really do. I think this is the time to cash in on Matic and say, you know what? Can we get 20 million out of him? 15, 20 million. Sell him on and then get Partey ready for the future.
Well, get that. He's 31 now, isn't he?
I think you could get. I think
Italian clubs want him. He'd do well over there because it's a slower league, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I think this is the time for me to catch in on Matic. I really do. I think he's done well in the last few months, but you know what I mean? I remember the days against, you know what I mean, Everton at home, you know what I mean? That's the Villa, pedestrian football, you know what I mean, sideways passing, you know what I mean, not breaking through the lines, you know what I mean, not awful passing, you know what I mean, watching the football, you know what I mean, not very, very slow, you know what I mean, lethargic. For me, you go get Partey, an upgrade, you know what I mean? He's very, very mobile, can play the ball, play through the lines, very, very neat and tidy on the ball. I mean, upgrade it massively on Matic, absolutely.
I'd like a CDM. I would. I'd like a Thomas Partey. I'd love an Ndidi, which we won't get. I would like a CDM because I think Matic is the only specialist centre defence midfielder we've got. I don't think McTominay's a CDM. I definitely don't think Fred is. You know, what Troy Deeney said is what we've seen. He's too. I like Fred, but you can't trust his first touch with his back to goal. Or you know, I think he's not. You know, you can trust McTominay, you can trust Matic. So I think long term, unless we've got a young player coming through, and there's a lot of thoughts about Garner, and but you know, it's that youth thing again. Are you going to chuck a young player into that situation? So I'd like us to get a Partey. I'd like us to go for the CDM.
It brings us back to the point about Williams now coming through and not being able to get enough games. Maybe if Matic played next season, maybe at the end of next season, Garner might be getting enough games, and you might say Garner's now the boy.
I'm not sure.
I think they're looking at McTominay for that role, and I'm not convinced McTominay's going to be a CDM.
No, I'm not.
No. I'm not sure about Garner. I think I like him more Levitt. For me personally, I like Levitt more than Garner. I look at Garner. I like Garner when he's come on. He's very, very just sideways. I don't know. For me, I don't know if you judge him too early. You know, he's only 17, 18, but I think I like Levitt more. I think Levitt, that ball he played across. I don't know who it was a particular game where he played a ball across, straight diagonal ball, and it was a goal. So for me, I like Levitt more than Garner.
I think Levitt's a bit of a cuter passer of the ball. Garner, but I don't think there's a lot wrong with your central defensive midfield player keeping it as simple as possible. I really don't.
I'd like to see Garner go on loan.
Times, of course, you have. You've got to look forward. But if there's nothing on and you just give it out to the right or you give it out to the left and let them take it forward, there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever.
In fact, I saw Giggs talking about Levitt today, actually, because he's Welsh, isn't he? And talking quite highly about him. So, look, I hope some of these young lads come through, that mainly because that's what we do, but also, if you ain't got to spend money, have you? You spend it on somewhere else. So it'd be good to good to get that going. We've done the hour, which is fantastic. It's absolutely flown by. So big shout out to Ricky and Saeed. Give your Twitters a shout out, lads.
Rick the Red UK.
Yeah, at realist_187. You might see me talking about Carrick.
Carrick's better than Keane. You're going to have to get a T-shirt and wear that around Old Trafford. You won't last 5 minutes, but there you
go. Quick one before we go. I noticed, I only read it today, but apparently the news was out a day or two back about Shearer and Ian Wright voting Roy Keane the best ever foreign, calling him a foreign player. I don't think of Irish players as foreign, but the best ever foreign player in the Premier League. That's a good shout out, isn't it? For Keane?
It is a good shout out because you'd think they'd go Henry, wouldn't you? So
you would, especially for the reasons you think Wrighty being a gooner, you think he might go Thierry Henry, but then Shearer had so many run-ins with Keane. I think it shows you the respect that he holds for Roy Keane as well.
Yeah, because I remember that up at Newcastle in the corner. And to be fair, Shearer did stare it down, but I bet he was shitting himself, really, because Roy Keane had lost it in that corner, hadn't he? I heard what you said, Saeed. He said he's got it in for Roy Keane. He's just said, nah, Aguero for me. He's not even going to go for his own bloody legend.
Nah,
Aguero over Keane.
That's why the name is called Realist, because I see real in people. So for me, I'll be real. My opinion is very, very, you know what I mean? I give it out there. I'm in the balance. So for me, it's got to be Sergio Aguero. People are saying time out now, time out.
Right, okay.
And on that bombshell, there we go. But no, it's a pleasure to have you on, lads. Really enjoyed it. It's a smash a like on the video, everybody. We've had a really good weekend where we've hit the 20k for the NHS, which was a brilliant achievement. Everyone got involved in that. Everybody at home as well. So really, really nice to end it with the traditional Sunday show. And obviously, it's a new week this week. Hopefully, we'll get some positive news on these numbers, and we can start working towards getting back to normality over the next weeks and months. But keep doing what you're doing, playing your part, staying at home, staying safe, and we'll be back tomorrow with more content. And hopefully have the lads on back next week.
Yeah, definitely.
Enjoyed it.
More controversy.
Yeah. Keane, Aguero's better than Keane now. Well, that's the new one. There you go.
No, import from Europe, wherever.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for watching. We'll speak to you tomorrow.
Okay.